G'day, and we're live. I'm Scotty North. This is Zenium Live, and today it is an American Monday. So even though it's Tuesday in Australia, because we're so far ahead of the rest of the world, that's my little joke there. It is still Monday in the US, and that's when we get our lovely guests on. And today, I am joined by Micah Mruwat. Micah, how you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much. So, yes, we are behind you. It's still Monday here.
Well, there you go. All right, so that's just a little dig I always like to have as we get on there. We're Australia. We're so far ahead of the rest of the world. I mean, mind you, then it backfires, right? Because New Zealand is like really small compared to us, and they're ahead of us. So we don't want
Right.
that to get out to too many people and places
Don't
to
let your
think that
secret
New
get out.
Zealand. No, no, shh, don't talk about that. So, Micah, you've been a real estate agent for some time. You're pretty good at generating leads, and you've done quite a bit in flipping, residential, multifamily, that sort of thing.
hmm
Um, I also hear on the grapevine that you like positive cash flow, which is some of the things that I really like, especially when we
Yep.
did in the US. And not only being a wife and a mother, as well as a business operator, you're an author perhaps that's going to be soon. So tell us a bit
hmm
about your background.
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you so much. And first off, thank you, Scotty, for having me on here. I certainly appreciate the opportunity. So, as you mentioned, I'm a second generation real estate investor. Flip properties with my husband. We've got about 50 rentals right now, ranging from single family, apartments, as you mentioned, to commercial. And so that's really where we got started. I got licensed about 11 years ago. I was with an independent brokerage and then moved over about 5.5 years ago with EXP Realty and started out as a managing broker. Did that for a few years, went to a regional position for a year, and then now I'm back as a broker associate. I love every minute of it. And as you mentioned, I believe in leveraged income. I believe in passive income and having multiple streams and really fulfilling that true financial wealth.
That's good. And so, uh, you've been with EXP, you just said, for 5 years. So, for those of you who are listening in Australia and on our podcast, there's any live podcast later on, EXP you might not have heard of EXP. It's only new to Australia. So, just tell us a bit about EXP and why it's different compared to other, I guess, real estate organisations.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, we are new to the Australia market. So, super excited for that. I believe we officially launched last year. And so, when I joined EXP 5.5 years ago, just to kind of put this in perspective, I was agent number 333. Okay, nationwide, globally, actually. And so nobody heard of EXP. So if you haven't heard of EXP, not to worry, but you will soon because we're the fastest growing brokerage here in the US. I'm hopefully that will duplicate as well. It seems like it has in Australia. And so the reason why is we're growing more like a tech company. If you think about the Amazon of real estate is really what we've been compared to. And the fact also that we're not a franchise, we are one company. So whether you're selling in Oklahoma, which is where I'm from, now I'm in Florida, or Australia, we're all a part of the same company. All of our agents become shareholders of the company, and it really creates a unique proposition for agents to have multiple streams of income with buyers and sellers. There's mentorship capabilities, the stock, as I mentioned, and then last but not least, we have the ability to build our own organizations through revenue share and actually earn leveraged income. So coming from an investment background, it's been a perfect match, and I couldn't be more blessed to be with a better company.
Yeah, that's excellent. And so you touched on so the revenue share and how that works, and we won't spend too much time on this because I really got some other exciting things I want to talk to you about. But how is it different from, um, it's the Amazon of real estate, but not the Amway of real estate? Just tell us a bit about how it's not actually multi-level marketing.
Right. So not multi-level marketing by any means. We're not here to sell a product. It's not a pyramid. If you think about it, we give all of our agents the same opportunity. So if you're been in with EXP for 5.5 years like myself, or you're a new agent, you have the exact same opportunity. And the reason why is it is a form of network marketing. If you think of a traditional real estate brokerage or even a franchise model. So a franchise model, they typically hire team leads, you've got the hired brokers or hired recruiters, and those are the only ones that have the ability to bring on agents to the company for the most part. So with EXP, instead of having that top down pyramid where only the broker owners are making leveraged income off their agents, we give the ability for every agent to attract, notice I say attract, not recruit, attract agents to the company. So I'm very blessed to say that between my husband and myself, we both have our own organizations. We have over 700 agents in 20 states. I'm hoping to come to Australia soon. And so definitely if you're interested, I'd love to have that conversation, but there is no way that I could have done it on my own without EXP. I have my own broker's license, very well could open my own shop, but the opportunity that EXP gives is just incredible. So just a quick synopsis, it's 7 generations of income. So not just the agents that I personally introduced to the company, but also 7 generations deep. And again, it's just a form of network marketing where we're allowing all agents the same opportunity, not an MLM, not a pyramid by any means.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. So, and I've just was showing the US EXP site, and this is the Australian EXP site as well. So they've got a expaustralia.com.au, and similar things on the US site there. So that's a very unique way of operating the business. I mean, it would have really worked well through this last 4 months, right?
Oh, it's yes. And if you notice here, it says cloud-based real estate company. That's why I compared it to Amazon. We operate out of a software called Verbella. And don't quote me on these exact statistics, but I've heard that Verbella over the course of COVID has grown about 400%. So we actually, as a parent company, own that software, which is pretty incredible. So yeah, if you get a chance to check out Verbella, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So that's your day job, but there's lots of other things that you do too, right? And one of the things that when we were talking that you mentioned was the way that you were investing into property that would helping people either get in their own home or get them off the streets or whatever. So tell us about that, because that's very interesting.
Yeah, another unique company that we kind of aligned ourselves with last year actually was introduced to this company by one of the board of directors of EXP World Holdings. And the company is Equity and Help. And so, as you mentioned, it's great for investors. It's also great for the consumer because I believe they said in the US, I think it was about 52% can't get traditional financing. And so if you want to become a homeowner but can't due to various reasons, maybe you're 1099, you're a contractor or whatever that may be, then what Equity and Help does is they find investors. We purchase properties from the bank and then they go back and sell them back. So on the return, you get approximately about a 12 to 15% return. But then we're also giving, like I said, the consumer that normally could not get traditional financing a home, which I think is incredible. And on top of that, they are getting it at a discount. So that's where as you see, the investor, the philanthropy part of the investing comes into play.
So you go in and you put money into their fund or their pool or whatever it is, their business, and then they go and buy the properties from the bank, like distressed sale or what do you call them over there? Mortgagee in possession or something? Like, what's your terms over there?
Yeah, so yes, they do purchase bank-owned properties, and so you do get a choice. You get a list of properties. Right now, I'm actually looking to acquire a few more. So what they do is they send you some properties that match your criteria, kind of give them the price range that you're looking at, maybe certain states. And if you agree, then they go ahead and purchase that on your behalf and start it. So it essentially goes into a land trust. You are completely anonymous in the entire process, and so it's much different than my other investments that I'm used to. Being the landlord, being the property manager, being very hands-on. This is completely anonymous and completely hands-free.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, right? Because I mean, I know you've done stuff before with flipping and renovating or whatever you call it, rehab,
Right.
that sort of stuff. And so this is just so I can get it. So the bank-owned property comes back and you rehab it there, so renovate for Australian terms, and then sell it, or is it a vendor finance type model? How does that work, getting it into the people's hands or the tenants?
Right. So as far as equity and help is concerned, it's much different than the flips that I do on a personal level. So what they do is they acquire these properties from the banks and then they do what they call a prehab. So basically getting it into, an acceptable condition. It may not necessarily be in the condition that I do in one of my personal flips where I'm asking, maximum dollar for the property. But they get it to a livable condition prehab. They send you pictures. And then what they do is they find a family to go in and turn and sell it to. So we'll just take an example scenario for, let's say the property is worth 70,000. They may sell it just below market value to where the new homeowner has some equity play into the property. And so you essentially become the bank as the investor over the course of 20 years. And like I said, what I've seen on average is about a 12 to 15% return. The website's going to have, all the better statistics on that. But you essentially become the lender, if you will, which, like I said, is much different than the hands-on property management that I'm used to. So that was a bit of a relief for me. And like I said, we're looking to acquiring more because it's been completely hands-free.
Yeah, no, that's good. So in terms of not so much, well, I guess then the return as well, but how is that model, the equity and help model, compared to what you do personally? I know that you would, even if it had a lesser return, there's the equity and help and you're helping people into their own home and that's probably worth not just the return, right? I mean, there's other things that go around that. But in terms of it as an investment versus what you do as an investment on a flip or something, how do the two compare?
Yeah, so they are quite different. With our flips, as I mentioned, we're very hands-on. My husband's been the general contractor in the past, and what we do is we purchase properties, whether it be short sale foreclosure at the auction, and we go in and we figure out how can we maximize the space, how can we maximize the profit, and completely renovate the entire home for a profit. Obviously, it's a bit different with equity and help as you are looking to make a profit, but there is some philanthropy work that's involved, and then it's completely hands-free. So one of the benefits that I've seen with equity and help in comparison to my other rentals is that it's been lower price points. So it's been incredibly affordable to be able to get into as an entry-level investor and be able to purchase property and then not have to stress about they literally take care of taxes and insurance, everything for you. So you just get a monthly report, you check it, you review the stats, and then you move on. So it's a great way to leverage, whereas my other properties were quite involved, especially our apartment complex.
Yeah, I bet. So when you say a lower entry point, I mean, because obviously you've got to take on the whole buying and everything when you do your own thing. And so what is is there an involvement range, a financial involvement range for equity and help? And the other question we've got that's just come up is it, can anyone be involved? Like could us Australians be involved?
Absolutely. And so I'd love to help, make that introduction, but they are looking at going worldwide. So I know that they already have multiple countries involved. So you can purchase properties here in the US. And so, so as far as entry point, I've seen them anywhere from, and I hate to quote exact amounts because it obviously depends what's available in the market, which I have no control over, but, anywhere from 35, 40,000 to 55 and $60,000. Just to kind of put it into perspective, I don't own a rental in the Oklahoma City market where I'm from. Less than $100,000 is my lowest investment there. Typically stay in the range of 150 to 200,000. So, with that same price point, you can buy multiple, and I believe their entry level is purchasing 3 with their starter package, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's really interesting. All right. So we've got your background. We talked about equity and help and EXP. So give us a bit of a rundown. Not so much taking out the growth of EXP from your experience right now, but how is your local market or your regional market performing for the past 6 months? What have you seen during this Corona time?
Yeah, it's actually been very incredible, and so I did just relocate about 3 months ago to Florida. In that time, I actually spent a month in Israel, so probably not the best to speak on the Florida market as of yet. But I am still selling in the Oklahoma City market, and have a team of agents that are working there and still take on listings there. And with the all-time low interest rates that we're having right now, in Oklahoma City, the average price point, give or take, is about 185,000, shy of 200,000. So when you stay under $250,000, I mean, they're just flying off the market right now. And I think it's due to the incredibly low interest rates, which we're seeing under the threes right now. I don't know how they are in Australia, but these are historic lows as far as interest rates are concerned. So it's really holding the market strong right now.
Yeah, look, that you make a good point. I mean, traditionally, even when you guys had lower rates or long-term rates, 30-year fixed and what have you,
Mhm.
we didn't see anything like that. We still don't see the length of time for fixed rates to 30 years in general.
Oh, really?
But yeah, we're definitely on what we'd call a variable rate. I'm not sure what you call your rate
Hmm.
over there if it's not fixed.
Hmm.
But in terms of the actual rate on offer, yeah, there's definitely something. I've seen home loans recently in the twos if it's for owner occupied
Yeah. Yeah.
for your own home, and definitely in that mid threes if it's anything else. So it's definitely the lowest I've ever seen, which isn't hard because obviously you and I aren't really that old, so we haven't been around forever. But we can look at
That's
data and say that it really is a very low interest rate time, and I know that both our Federal Reserve and the Reserve Bank of Australia have come out and
right.
said that they can't see that changing for any sort of foreseeable future. So that's a very interesting situation.
It really is. And like I said, I think it's holding everyone strong. Just to put it in perspective, my husband and I purchased our first home about 12, 13 years ago. And we thought we got a good interest rate back then, which is about 6.5. So yeah, it's incredible right now.
And so back to using that with the low interest rates and the flips, I guess you call them,
Mhm.
just in rough figures, could you tell us for us Aussies, because we always like hearing these sort of numbers and the juicy goss that happens over there, you know, give us an example of is it in Oklahoma or whatever that you've done a recent flip or recent project, and the buy-in price, what you spent, and what you sold it for, so we can get an idea of what's on offer.
Yeah, and actually you mentioned the book. So I do have a book. It's called The Real Estate Investment Formula. So we have a coaching program called Embrace Your Fear, where fear stands for financials, equity, acquisition, and results. And oddly enough, I get asked this all the time. What is your secret formula? And to be honest with you, we never had one because we always evaluated a couple different things. Number one, we never went an over budget. So I know that's pretty incredible to hear. And we've never lost money on a deal. And so after years of doing this, we walk in, we make a budget, and we stick to it. And like I said, it's always important to maximize on the property. Obviously, you're doing this to make a profit. That's no secret. None of us work for free. But also, make the home as, presentable and without going over budget or over, what the comparables in the area are going to show. So with all that said, we always identify how much money you're going to tie up into this property, how long it's going to take are really the two components. I will say my husband does a fantastic job at renovations. He can get in and out. I don't know the typical size of the homes over there, but in your standard home, 1,500, 2,000 square feet, he can have it completely renovated in about 2 to 3 weeks. So we don't sit on our properties for months. We've always had kind of a 90-day rule. And so usually it never went to the 90 days, but 30 days for the renovations, 30 days once you put it on the market to get under contract, and then another 30 days to close. So 90 days from the date of purchase to the day you've essentially flipped it and closed it. I will say my husband
That's
never
really
let me
good.
have
That's
that amount of time to have it on the market.
Yeah, that's quick. I mean, I've seen some things that take a lot longer than that. I mean,
Mhm.
the time cost of money is the killer in most real estate transactions, and to keep it into that 90 days, I mean, that's very good.
Yeah, and we've had some smaller deals. I think the least amount that we've ever made is about 15,000 on a flip, but we've done some bigger projects that you've made over 100. We've done a commercial project where we made 400, and now we're dealing with multifamily, which you're getting into the millions. So again, it kind of varies on the project and what all is involved and the time that's involved.
So with your multifamilies, are you looking to buy distressed or what under market or discounted stock and then
Mhm.
renovate each unit in the multifamily? Are you going to sell the whole lot as a package, or are you going to keep
Yeah,
some, or how does that work?
Yeah, actually, so I just today put one of our complexes on the market. So we've owned it for about 4 years, or 3.5 or so. And so what we did is it was performing, but it was underperforming. So we went in and with his renovation background and then my operations background, we were able to basically double the rent, go in and make a lot of renovations, and increase the rent. I think when we originally purchased it, it was bringing in about 11,000 a month, and right now we have it shy of $24,000 a month. So obviously it's taken a lot of work, a lot of strategic moves on our part. But we did it in phases, and we went in, and it was a 32 unit. Went in and did the renovations, and then obviously once you do renovations and you bring in the proper management and operations, then that increases the value of the overall rent and the overall property.
Right. So you've taken it from 11,000 to 24,000. So is that property still sold on the same sort of yield calculation as you bought it on, or is it like a different cap rate now because it's a better property, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a different cap rate, and overall, I would argue that we've increased the overall value of the property. I want to say about $900,000. So just to kind of give you some of that we reinvested into updates and whatnot. So I don't have those exact figures on me, but we have increased because you're bringing more rent income to the property. It's fully occupied. We have increased the overall value of the entire property itself.
Yeah, that's really good. And is that your strategy moving forward? Are you moving to those bigger ones more often, or are you still doing the little ones, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, we're not doing as many single family flips as of right now. That may change, but we've decided to take a bit of a break. We've been kind of hustling with it for the last 6, 7, 8 years. And so we are taking a break on the single family flip properties, looking to get into more multifamily. We're even considering some, as I mentioned, we're looking at some more equity and help. We're looking at even things like a CVS or a retail center or some of the restaurants that may be a lower cap, but not as a little bit more leverage as you're not having to be as involved. So we're definitely looking into different opportunities.
Yeah, I bet. And there'd probably be some decent buying in the retail space coming
Mhm.
forward anyway,
Yes.
and repurposing that. And I guess my last question on the multifamily versus the single is that did you renovate them all at once, or did you do a periodic renovation, like when that tenant moved out, you renovated that
Mhm.
unit then, or how did you manage that?
Yeah, we definitely did it in phases because it doesn't benefit anybody to have an empty complex. So, as tenants, would move out, we didn't go in and do a rush move out on anyone. As tenants moved out, that's when we went in and did the renovations and then increased the rent. So, I think we just got one of our last ones renovated and increased. So, I mean, like I said, it's been a course of 4 years. We didn't go in and kick everyone out, and so it's definitely in phases.
Yeah, and look, the pros of that is that unlike a single family, you've got no income in that time,
Mhm.
and I know you've condensed it to 90 days, so it's ups and downs, whatever. But
Right.
the advantage of a multifamily, because how many units did you say you had? 30 in that
32.
one? Yeah,
Yes.
32. So, uh, you know, you can definitely work through them at your own pace, which is, mind you, then it takes 3.5 years, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Take some
swings
patience.
and roundabouts. Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Look, look. It's been my pleasure talking to you this morning, Mike. I mean, I think that yeah, they've just given us so much information, especially on we've got EXP, equity and help, even the market for flips and single families and what have you. Um, and and what's your tip on those sort of single families and multifamily flips? Is it finding the best deal in any location or getting to know one area really well?
Yeah, we really identified a geographical area. We chose to stay pretty close in proximity to where we used to live. And right or wrong, that's we just learned that market really well. So, I one of the things that I teach all the time is cheaper is not always better. And so you definitely want to have multiple exit strategies on any given deal. And that's one of the main reasons why we've never lost on a transaction is because we always ensure that we have multiple exit strategies, whether that's to lease it, to flip it, to assign it to somebody else, whatever that may be. There's always multiple exit strategies.
Yeah, you're talking my language when you're saying multiple exit strategies. That's the same terminology I use. So that's
Love
awesome.
it.
And how can people contact you exactly? We've got here your website with your hubby there. Is he about to jump in and fly that plane? What's the story?
He actually does have his private pilot's license. So yes, but yeah, if you can go, this is MruwatEnterprises.com. This talks a little bit about our coaching program. You can schedule a free 15-minute strategy session with us on our Calendly link. And then also for agents that might be interested on the EXP side of things, we have agentwealthopportunity.com where it kind of shows about the partnership, what it looks like with us. We help, as you mentioned, help agents lead generate, grow their own organizations, increase their production. And so just kind of explains what some of that partnership looks like there.
Yep.
I'm excited. I'd love to come to Australia. It's next on my list.
Well, look, generally we like people coming to Australia, except right at the moment they pretty much banned everyone, and
Right.
even we're not allowed to leave. So we're technically prison island right now. So that's always fun for us down under. But yeah, look, we welcome you with open arms when the borders open up again, and that'd be fantastic. Micah, thank you
Absolutely.
very much for joining us today on Xenium Live. And as I said, if you've got any, if anyone wants to contact Micah, you can watch this replay. You can see the links in the video, or you can hit us up on the details scrolling below, which is our website. So www.xenium.property, and there's no .coms, no .aus. We just managed to do something pretty fancy. So it's www.xenium.property. You can call us on 1300 667789. That's for in Australia. And you can also email us at hello@xenium.property. Micah, it's been a pleasure. When you finish your book, you'll have to come back on and tell us about that, and we'd love to see a nice little copy of that over here and have a bit of a read, because I think it'd be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love it. And thank you so much, Scotty. Appreciate your time.
All right, that's it from Micah, and I'm Scotty North. This is Xenium Live, and thanks for joining us. Until next time, be well.